welcome everybody, especially Professor Zhu, for being with us today. I would like to, on behalf of all of the co-chairs, welcome you for the second round of the speaker series. And I will just do a brief presentation of Professor Zhu, and then give the floor to him. So first of all, Zhu, he is a distinguished professor at the School of Economics and Management, director of the Institute for Sustainable Development and Governance, and head of the Department of Public Policy and Management at Tongji University in Shanghai. This was established in 1907 by the German government together with German physicians in Shanghai. So Tongji is one of the oldest and most prestigious universities in China. The professor also won the award at the Circular 2016 in the Circular Economy Leadership category, based on the work he has been doing with trying to shift the attitudes of both business leaders and policy leaders on the circular economy eco-design models all over China. So I don't think you can find a more impactful person in China, and therefore also maybe even in the world, on really changing things that matter than Professor Zhu. And since 1998, he has published a series of papers and books on the circular economy and helped promote China's green transition to the circular economy. He's a thinker, an advocate, and a communicator of the circular economy model in China, and this is a relatively new concept in the country. So he has been actively involved in China's policy consulting, law promotion, education of young people, as well as he's been a member also of the World Economic Forum's Meta Council for Circular Economy, together with Peter Lacey and myself. He is also a primary expert in China, so he's been invited to do keynote speaks and conferences and universities all over the world, basically. And in addition to his academic roles and responsibility, he's also an appointed member of the National Foundation for Social Sciences in China, the Social Science Commission under the Chinese Education Ministry. He's a member of the Experts Commission on Sustainable Development, Resources and Environment under the Chinese Construction Ministry, and he is a special policy advisor for Shanghai municipal government and some other Chinese cities. So, as you can see, everybody, Professor Zhu is a very distinguished leader in the circular economy, and it is a great pleasure that we welcome him here today. So therefore, without further ado, please let me introduce Professor Dajian for his presentation on the circular economy. Over to you, Professor.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ida, for introduction and chairing tonight's event. So, hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here and talk about the circular economy and the decoupling development for China. Generally, I want to share 4 points with all of you. That is why, what, how our circular economy for China, and what kind of challenges for the China's circular economy initiative. Basically, I want to say something. I want to say China's understanding of circular economy is a little wider than other places in the world. So this is my speech's focus in this aspect. Now let me start the first one about why. In brief, I want to say circular economy in China means development strategy which combine economy and the environment, which means combining 2 aspects, not just is related to the environment policy, or not is the only issue of environment management, This is in the basic background. You know, in the last 30 years, China has very high rate of economic rate growth. Sorry, and also with a very high rate of the resource consumption and the environmental impact, including the waste. If we take a look at the next decades, particularly by 2030, I want to use a very simple formula to say something about the next decades by 2030. Maybe a lot of people here know this simple formula. I is equal to the three elements. I means impact in terms of resource consumption and pollution, emission, and the wastes. Impact is the result, is the function of the three elements. The first element is about the population. People is in terms of number of the population is the impact on the resource consumption and the environmental impact. The second element come from the economic growth efforts, which is in terms of GDP per capita. Then the third one is about the technology, and maybe we can use the material intensity or reverse like resource productivity is. In the later, I will say technology in terms of resource productivity. It is the one of the indicator to measure the performance of circular economy. Now let's take this formula to say something about China's future. First one is about the population. At the moment, for example, in the year of 2010, China the population is about 1.34 billion. Every year we have got another 8 to 10 million people every year, nearly about like the total population of the. I'm not sure for the Germany or for the British or for the annual additions. Then by 2030, the population will get the peak. Might be 1.1 times of the year 2010. This is the impact from the population. Then we see the second element is about economic growth in terms of GDP per capita. You know, in the last 30 years, China started at $250 per capita in the early of the 1980s. Then every 10 years, China got double. You can see by 1990, China got in terms of GDP per capita got 500 per capita. Then next 10 years, another doubles. At the moment, if we take 2010 as a best year, it is about $4,000 per capita. What's the next decades? Still, in the next 20 years, China will got two doubles. That means 4 times of the year 2010. You can see by 2030, China nearly about $16,000 per capita in 2030, about 4 times of the year 2010. This is the another impact from the economic growth. So if you read from the newspaper or from medias, you can see that in the last 30 years, China's rate of economic growth is annual levels is about 7% to 10% for the annual. For the next 20 years, although we're reduced a little, but still is on the level of the 6 to 7%, which means every 10 years will be got doubles. So we will talk about this high rate of economic growth will be give how big impact for the environment impact and the resource consumptions. The third one is about technology. Currently, China's if we use the material intensity or reduce the resource productivities, for example, for the energy intensity in the last 5 or 10 years, every 5 years we have improvement of 15%, which in the average levels, which means about 3% of improvement for the annual. So what if we take this rate for the next 2 decades? What's kind of impact from technology? Then I gave some conclusions for the total impact, how big it will be in the next decades, especially by 2030. You can see these tables. If we take 2010 as a base year, this is 100% is a base levels. Then reference is also the technology is the base year. Environmental impact is 100%. If by 2030 the population will rise to this number, reference will be 4 times. Technology, if we keep still keep along the traditional ways, maybe environmental impact will be 4.4 times of that of the 2010. So I gave some scenario. Okay, for China for the next 2 decades or by 2030, maybe we have 3 choice of the scenarios. Choice 1 is about business as usual scenarios, which just follow the linear. We know this. We say take, make, use, dispose models. Maybe the impact will be more than 4 times of the set of the 2010. If we take the choice 2, what's the choice 2? I means if we still around the linear economy, but give some based on the 3Rs principles to do some technology efficiency improvement. Maybe this is would be better than the scenario 1, but still is efficiency oriented, which is not enough for the China. So for the circular economy in China, we will take the scenario 3. Scenario 3 means not just do the model, the doing more with less, which is efficiency oriented. We should do some adopt the very rapidly transition models, which means not only doing more with less. Most important is doing differently in terms of effectiveness, in terms of sufficiency. So this is the first meaning about circular economy. let me briefly say about the first question about why. I want to say circular economy in China is the development strategy, which means the decouple economy growth with environmental impact and resource consumption, and not just do some gradual improvement or some technology efficiency strategy, or some do more with less. So how to use the 3Rs principles into model? This is the very fundamental issues for China's thinking. So this is the first one about why. Now let me say the second one about the what. And also in the brief, I want to say, in China's, I say that China's understanding, China's version of circular economy is a little wider meanings or wider, broader understandings. Generally, people have two understanding about the circular economy. One is very narrowly, just to focus on the recycling of waste. This is the one understanding. But for China, we want to take a new understanding in terms of the radical changes. We say circular economy is the system innovation or integrated innovation, which combine the whole materials, which focus on the whole materials, and which cover the whole life process, from staking, manufacturing, consuming, and disposing. The whole things. I gave two detailed explanations. The one is we set three categories of circular economy. One is about materials cycle, which means we should take some renewable materials into the economic process, or we should recycling the waste back to the economic process. This is we call this material cycles. The second loop is about product cycle, which means reusing and remanufacturing products in the parts. Generally, we say this is we know this is the extended life cycle, product life. This is the second loop. The third loop, and maybe the more important loop, is we call the service cycle, which including the currently we know don't selling the product, but we can selling the service to the people. This is generally we call the product service system. This is the one of the service cycle. Another one is the very modern sharing economy, like Airbnb and Uber, this kind of things, which at the moment happening in China cities very rapidly. So in the China circular economy, in a couple of years ago, we have covered these three cycles, particularly about the service cycle. We pay more attention about the service cycle. So not just focus about waste recycling and some reuse of products. This is the basic meaning about what for the circular economy. Then another one is we want to say that according to the priority, the service cycle is much important than the cycle of products. then the cycle of products is much important than cycle of materials. This is the priorities for the of 3 cycles. I want to say for these 3 cycles will be in the last year. Peter Lacey published a book about West to the wealthy. They divided 5 categories of the circular business. I think we can introduce the 5 circular business from the 3 cycles. For the material cycles, we can find the two business models. One is about the bio cycles, the materials as a supply for the business. Another category is about the material covering into the business. This is from the circle of materials. From the cycle of products, we can find the extend the life length of the products category for the business. From the service cycles, we can find the sharing economy and the product service systems business. So in China's for what I can say 3 cycles is the very basically for China's circular economy. If you meet the China peoples and experts, they always mention the 3 R's. I want to say 3 R's principle is very common, is not new, but how to change from 3 R principles into the particularly circular economies categories. Maybe we have 2 choices. One is just say along the traditional linear economy. If you put the 3 R's principles into the traditional the linear economy, this is one way. But for China, I want to say put the 3 R principles into the new ways. This new way is not do more with less. We want to do different things with the effectiveness ways. So this is I'm not sure I make myself clear about what's the real meaning for the circular economy in terms of 3 circles. This is the second point I want to say. Maybe you can find a little wider of the understanding in the circular economy. This is the second point. Then let me move to the quickly. 3.4 for how. Before for the why and the how it is basically theory and idea oriented. For the how is about practice or policy oriented or policy driven. Generally, in here I want to say 2 things. The whole China's circular economy initiative so far, maybe we can divide it at 2 stages. The first stages started from the later 1990s to the year 2005. This is the first period, first phase, which is the concept period. A lot of the things come from the academic studies in some research. Then the second period started from the 2005 to the last year, which is totally is the last 10 years. Maybe for the clearly China's big initiatives happened in the last 10 years. Why? I want to say two things. The first thing is which government agencies or which government department are responsible for the circular economy initiative. For China, maybe it is a little different from the other countries. Normally, a lot of circular economy policy come from the EPA. Before 2005, in China, State Environmental Protection Bureau is the responsible department for the circular economy. But in 2004, we as experts suggested this duty should shift from the SEPB to the NDRC. NDRC is the Nation Development and the Reform Commission, which is the number one department under the China's State Council. Their duties is the make comprehensive 5 years plans with economic growth and social development, which do a lot of comprehensive issues. So we think the responsible organization should be shifted from the environment side to the development side, which coordinately with the economic circular economy. Before I mentioned in China, circular economy is not the issue of environment management. It is the issue of the development strategy. So the organization type should be coordinate with these models. This is the very important issues. Start from the NDRC taking responsibilities. In the last years, you found that China did 4 issues. The first issue about put the circular economy into 5 years plans. In the last 10 years, we got 2 5 years plans about the circular economy. This is one. The second one is a lot of people know this one. China set up the circular economy promotion laws in 2008, but the action in the 2009. This is the second issue from the NDRC. The third one is about set up some indicators to measure circular economy's performance, which including the resource productivity or material intensity from the water resource and land resource and some solid resource and energy, and some recycling rate, this kind of indicators to measure circular economy. The fourth one is about pilot project. Maybe this is a very characteristic of China. In the last 10 years, we have identified the nearly about more than 6,000 pilot projects across the different levels. Generally, is the 3 levels. The first one is the business levels, which means a single industries or business or factories. The second one is the master levels, is about the eco-industry part, like this kind of levels. The third one is about city level or the region levels. So this is the 4 levels. I want to say about in this effort. I want to say this is another things different from the other countries in the world. generally in the Europe and in the US, in Japanese, the circular economy come from the business driven. But for the China, we always take the top-down approaches to do the circular economy. So these three levels are the very characteristics of China. Why China will do follow this one? I think before I mentioned that circular economy is the system innovation, is the integrated innovation. So not only about the recycling of waste, it also is not only about industry innovation, but also should cover consumptions. So for the in China, eco-industry park is very large than the Western partners. Our EIP parks has more than more factories in the same site and occupy the biggest size of the land. So not only about the manufacturing, but also has some residential and dwelling the areas in the industry parks. So for the eco-industry park, the circular economy not only about the industry activities, but also including the consumption activities. This is why China have three different scales. And for the city levels, is more than about after use the materials, how to back to the economic flows. So this is the second information. And China's circular economy in the practical levels is also a little wider the meaning than other places. This is the third point. Then let me say the final point about for the challenges. Now let me take this table to make a comparison between the U.S., Europe, and China, just as a trial to say some things. Generally, we can, from the three aspects, to make comparisons about the stock of the products, of the materials. For the U.S. and the Europeans, they are developed. Means most of the materials is done as stock. For the China's basic needs still it should be developing. So we have some opportunities in terms use the new way to develop this stock, not just follow the older ways. This is the one thing. The second thing about institutional force. For the Europeans, green institution is very strong. China for government the top-down approaches is very strong in the China, maybe the strongest. Europe is maybe stronger than US, but this is just my words. It is which maybe not right. So, this is the second aspect. For the three aspects about the awareness, about the theory, about the ideas, I think China is still in the development, which means China can learn a lot from the Europe and the US, particularly in Europe. The green knowledge and the theory is very strong, and also about the technology and the policies. This is the potential for China's taking away of circular economy. But I want to say this is, on the other hand, this is also the challenges for China. Three challenges for China. The first one is for example, in the green cultures, there are two understanding of the circular economy. Although we say circular economy is a new economic models, but a lot of people and officials still think regard circular economy is very narrowly to understand that the circular economy is which is the recycling of waste. So there are two understandings. How to increase the new understanding to the reduce the old understanding is the challenges. This is why China still we have still gap between idea and the theory and the practice. This is the one challenges. The second challenge is for the government. Government top-down approaches, maybe it is good in the very start period, but for the implementations of circular economy, it is not enough. We should involve the business and the consumer, civil society into the circular economy. And for the next 2 decades, China's circular economy should shift from the government-driven to the business and the consumer-driven. So this is the second challenges. The third one challenges come from the how to use indicator to measure circular economy. At the moment, China's policy is resource productivities. China's plans say in the last 5 years we want to raise 15% of resource productivities, which is the annual in the average levels. Annual rate is 3% of the improvement in the resource productivity, but in comparison to the high rate of economic growth, which are the 6 or 7% annual levels, this resource productivity is not enough. So in the last 10 years, we have made a big improvement of the resource productivities, but waste amount, the total waste amount is higher, still is higher than that levels. So how to change our policy, combining resource productivity and controlling the total amount of the resource consumption and the waste is a challenge. This is really meaning of the decoupling economic growth with environmental impact. So this is the three issues for the challenges. Then I want to add the fourth challenges. For the next 2 decades, maybe we can talk less about why and what. We should pay more attention about how to do. We should do a lot of research and studies about the implementations of circular economy and what kind of policy is effectiveness. This is the fourth challenges. So I want to give some conclusion words. For the next 2 decades, we have 4 challenges from the institutional, from the theory, from the indicators, and from the research. I think this is the 4 points I want to say. Let me repeat. My focus is I want to say China has a wider understanding of circular economy, but for the next 2 decades we should do a lot of detailed issues. Otherwise, we still facing the challenges from the gap between the theory and practice. That's all. I thank you for attention. I'm not sure I make myself clear to you. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Zhu. I think it was a very interesting presentation and very, for a lot of us, new insights on what is going on in China and on this area and how seriously it is taken, and also what are some of the challenges. So I think it was a very interesting presentation. I have my first question to you, and please, everybody, feel free to also send further questions, the chat function to Quentin, and he will forward them to me. But my first question to you would be, besides the government wanting the business community to engage themselves in circular economy, do you see other levers that could actually get the business community to be interested in this transition?
You mean apart from the government and the business?
Yes, I mean, what besides that the government has these goals in the 5-year plan, what other levers, what other self-interest could there be for the business community to actually take part in this circular economy?
I think apart from the government, the business should take the lead in the next 5 years or 10 years, because originally in the last stage, China has a top-down approaches to promote a circular economy. If for the implementation, business, of course, of the consumer or civil society should be involved more and more in the circular economy. If no business activities, I think implementation is difficult.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay, and my sound just went up. I'll be back. So there is a question from Daniel Newton, and and he has been asking, how do you see increasing affluence in China as impacting the circular economy? Because in the West, it is clear that as countries, individuals have become more affluent, more wealthy, they have become more wasteful. How can China avoid this trend? I mean, what are they? Are you seeing some of the similar things, or how is that working?
Yes. I know in the European, in the Western countries, there are some initiative about degrowth, which means the GDP is not equal to the happiness. So for the China still should do a lot of things developing. Generally, I say in the GDP per capita, the $10,000 or $20,000 per capita is the basic need for the people. Above these levels, maybe the more GDP is not the happiness is not for the higher rates of the GDP. So for the China at the moment, I'm not sure. China government says we should enter the new normal economic levels, which means reduce the economic growth rate. Like Shanghai and Beijing, they want to control the consumption of the land and the materials, water skills, then use the definite the eco footprint, not too big footprint, still under the world average levels to support the social development and something like education and culture, this kind of issues. For the Shanghai, Beijing, this is the advanced cities. They want to shift their strategy from the last 30 years strategy to the new stages, which is related to the circular economy.
And to stay with the consumers, how are they reacting on shifting from buying products to buying services? Is it happening in many fields, or do you only see it with transportation and maybe accommodation like Airbnb? What
Yes.
kind of trends are you seeing with the consumers?
For the consumer, is not many fields have some big changes, but for the last from last years or this 2 or 3 years, we can see the sharing economy becoming very rapidly growing. Like sharing cars and sharing bicycles. In Shanghai, just this year, so we can see the bike. This is the business deliver the service. Don't sell the bicycle to the consumer. A lot of younger people like a mobike. Think this is a new fashion. I think for the next 5 years, the sharing economy will be becoming very hot in China. We have some very particular reasons. In China, China's city is much bigger than the Europeans and in the U.S. Like Shanghai, we have 24 million people. So this means it is very easy for the people to sharing some things. Is better than some cities is short of people. So high density cities, maybe it is easy for the sharing economy. I want to make some close observations for these issues. So I answer your questions. Not many fields the consumer shift their styles. Some fields still they want to have the ownership. But for the transportation, for the some rent house is towards the new directions.
This is very, very interesting. Thank you, Professor Zhu. I want to follow up with one more question on that because, we have seen how Spotify can give people access to all kind of music, how Netflix, HBO, other subscriptions have given people access to movies so they don't have to go and buy them. And we've seen this whole shift, and you're also telling us that it's coming in China. Is this mainly companies that are foreign driving this, or do you have like your Chinese versions that are moving faster? And do you know of a business community that is as aware of the opportunities in the sharing economy as in China itself, as we see it in US and Europe, for instance?
Sure. I think in China's words, we say the Internet plus. Internet plus and the culture activities and the information, the movies. I think Chinese business will take the lead in this field. You can say like the Alibaba. I'm not sure you know Alibaba. Alibaba is this kind of company. They becoming the top 10 in terms of world levels, not in the national levels. A lot of Chinese company find opportunities towards the sharing the information and sharing some other things.
So I had there's one more question that has come in, and it's a little bit it's very interesting in this regard that we're discussing right now of the business community starting to take over, because the question is, do you think the Chinese government's traditional top-down approach will advance or hold back the move towards a circular economy in China?
Maybe this is the this is a challenge for the Chinese government because before the reform in the open period, China always has some central planning the strategy. So for the circular economy, China also take some traditional ways, but they becoming a little open to the other stakeholders. At the moment, some businesses have some very innovations ways to do some things. So I think maybe if the business find some opportunities, I think they were actively connected to the government to make some policies. Then combining top-down approaches and bottom-up approaches, and this is two ways to emerge to promote a circular economy.
Okay, I think there's time for a last question, and it's from Andrew Russell, who says, "Thank you, Dr. Zhu. Very informative. Most countries face a significant first-mile challenge. How do we make collection of used products easier, efficient, and effective? Once commingled with other waste, circular economy becomes difficult. How do we get collection to work well in China? Are there particular difficulties or advantages or successes in China in this field?"
Yes. So I think maybe efficiency way and effectiveness way will be at the same time exist. As the time passed, maybe efficiency way will be shifted to the effectiveness ways. So this is first efficiency way is important. Then where business will pay do efficiency way means that do the same things. Effectiveness ways means do different things. I think at the moment we found two categories. Some business do some they still manufacture the efficiency cars, or so from the like fossil oil driven cars from the less efficiency to the more efficiency. This is efficiency way. But another business, they want to do different things. They want to do some car sharing systems, deliver service to the people. I think currently there are two ways to you can find. Maybe the circular economy is not short times. We still think before we still should spend 20 or maybe one generation or two generations to realize this is the cost, not the things that we can finish in the short times.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Professor Zhu. Thank you all for joining. We have 1 minute left, and I will use that to just a short wrap-up to say a big thank you to Professor Zhu for providing us with all these valuable and very interesting insights on the development and the scaling of the circular economy in China. Yeah, thank you very much. And the Circulars Award team has been recording this session of the webinar, and it will be available on the Circulars website, which is thecirculars.org. The next YGL speaker series session will be with Mr. Feige Besma. He is the CEO of Royal DSM, who has led the global science-focused organization in identifying innovative solutions to global issues. That's DSM's role, and led by Feige in all of this. Externally, he has pushed for the circular economy to a higher level within government and across civil society, and I'm sure he will tell us about that. And interestingly, both Professor Zhu and Mr. Besma won the 2016 Circulars Award for Circular Economy Leadership. So this is a good follow-up for this conversation. And the webinar will take place on the 6th of September. So watch the Circulars Twitter space and expect an invitation for this in late August. And thank you all for joining us.